Welcome back to the channel and part 2 of English versus the Irish horses, where I assess both of the different nations' chances heading throughout the season and towards Cheltenham Festival and bigger festivals later on in the season. Now, if we're looking at the Supreme market, that has changed a lot since I last reviewed this. We've got two English horses at the top of the market and both trained by Nicky Henderson. Jonbonner's been extremely impressive in both of its wins, and the last one at Ascot was very, very impressive. The way he had some very good horses off the bridle heading into the home straight, the likes of Nappers Hill, Elest and the way he just cruised away from them was very impressive and has cemented himself rightfully at the top of the market at 2-1. Constitution Hill's also second favourite in the betting for Nicky Henderson. He's 10-3 after his Seoul Hurdles win. That was very impressive, and he quickened right away from the horses. It'd be a question whether he does step up in trip, but considering he's this short in the betting already, you'd assume he'd stay at 2 miles, although Nicky Henderson might want to spread out his horses. Saying that, he does also have Iron Maximus, who's running in a Ballymore trial on New Year's Day. That's also going to be a very much a horse to watch, who was impressive in his last win over 2 miles, but definitely does need the step up in trip to 2.5. Moving on to the champion chase, and again it's Nicky Henderson who has the favourite in this race, and it's Shishkin at 4-5. Now this horse was very impressive on its comeback at Kempton. It jumped very, very well and quickened away nicely in the end. There was a point where he did hit a bit of a flat spot, but Nico rode him well, and he only had to stay on the horse and jump on well to win. He cruised home in the end, and he's odds on for the champion chase, which at this point out does look short, but you can understand why he's the top class horse in this division. The Irish do have a few interesting horses, depends how they progress throughout the season. Willie Mullins has Energumene and Chacun Pour Soi, who Chacun Pour Soi did disappoint in a Tingle Creek, but he does seem like a horse that will bounce back at some point. Energumene also looks very good stepping into open company, but at this point I'd have to stick with Shishkin, who has looked all class and has won now around 9 starts in a row. Moving on to the Triumph Hurdle, and this one is in favour of the Irish, and it's Phil Daw for Gordon Elliott. This was an impressive 7-length winner last time, beating Luna Power, who Phil Daw only beat Luna Power by a length and a half the time before that. It was impressive to see him step forward from that, and I think he's definitely a player if he gets the soft ground. The English do have a few challengers in the shape of Porticello and Night Salute, and although Night Salute did beat Porticello in Night Salute's last run, Porticello since run out a 9-length win in the Coral Juvenile Hurdle at Chepstow. That was an extremely impressive performance, and I think this horse does have a freakish nature about him, like Goshen a few years back for Gary Moore. I think this horse could be something pretty special and is definitely a player in the Triumph Hurdle. Moving on to the Stayers Hurdle, and this betting has changed a lot. I'd never expect to see Champ second favourite, but his comeback at Ascot was very impressive, beating Time White, who finished second in the end. Champ could have won by a lot further that day. I think he got a bit lonely out in front for John Joe O'Neill Jr., but once Time White came up to him, he went again, and that was a very impressive performance. If I was Connections, I would keep him over hurdles. I think his jumping over fences isn't the strongest, and I think over hurdles in possibly a weaker division he could win the Stayers Hurdle. Although he's not favourite, that's Classical Dream, who's around 2-1, and recently won very well the other day, although he did steal a few lengths at the start, and by a few lengths I mean 6 or 7, and he only won by 2 lengths in the end. So the question is, if they had a level start, would he still have won? I think he would. I think he had a lot up his sleeve that day. I think he again got a bit lonely out in front, and Paul Townend was saving some horse underneath him and didn't fully go for him until after the final flight, where he did Courier away to win by 2 or 3 lengths in the end. So that's my roundup done. I think if you look at the Supreme and the Champion Chase, I think England at this stage are looking pretty strong and might maybe just have a few more winners than they did last year. And also in the Stayers Hurdle, Champ could throw up an upset, but in the Triumph Hurdle it's anyone's game at the minute. Phil Daw is short at 11-4, but Porticello and Night Salute do have very good form, and I think they could both play a part. Let me know who you think will be on top next year at the Cheltenham Festival, and any English or Irish horses you'd like me to talk through their chances of at the festival.